Hey guys, welcome back to Windsor Time. Noah and I are here with a pretty exciting watch today, something a little different and unique in the Patek Philippe collection, or past collection, I should say.
Yeah, really cool one. This is one I photographed last week. And we're looking at it's a 35 millimeter piece, and we'll get into it. I like bigger watches right now, but when I put this piece on, I mean, it's such a special one, and really excited to talk about it today.
Quintessential Patek Philippe too, because it's probably not for everyone, which I think is super important.
Yep.
And for a watchmaker that doesn't do things just because a boardroom says they should or something like that. But we'll get into that.
Absolutely.
What are you wearing?
The complete opposite of a Patek Philippe. Today I have one of my newest watches on. It is my Panerai Luminor Marina blue dial, and because it's summer, I've got it on this kind of fun orange strap, but 44 millimeters. So again, the complete opposite of what we're talking about today, but such a fun piece and really great for summer.
Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you?
I'm wearing my Tudor Titanium Pelagos Carolina Watch Club edition. So we've talked about that on here before. Always proud to wear it, and just kind of does everything.
Yeah, it's a watch. I've started wearing it quite a bit recently this summer. And it's so good. It's, I feel like the 39 millimeter version gets talked about quite a bit. The Black Bay 58 and 54 seem to have picked up a lot of popularity, but that classic size at 42 millimeters, I think, is just so wearable and such a great tool watch, and a little underrated at the moment. Especially that one, being our special one, is really cool. So, yeah.
Let's dive into this thing.
Absolutely. What are we looking at?
So we are looking at the Patek Philippe 5039J, so 5039J. Which is a pretty unique piece in the sense that it leans into that classic 3119 or 5119 kind of hobnail bezel, classic Calatrava.
Yep.
However, Patek Philippe has fit their ultra-thin 240Q perpetual calendar movement into it. So you've got a perpetual calendar, smaller mid-30 size. I think it's 35.2 or 35.3.
Yeah.
To me, wears bigger than that.
I would say so as well.
But yeah, it wears more like a 36 or 37. But you've got a super thin perpetual calendar, hobnail bezel, straight lug perpetual calendar from Patek Philippe, and it's just, like I said earlier, quintessential Patek Philippe.
It is. This is still, and I love, the Aquanaut, the Nautilus, all those are really wonderful, but this to me is what makes Patek Philippe so special. There's plenty of people that make sports watches and integrated rubber and whatever, but this, to have a 35 millimeter watch with this many complications, a hobnail bezel, and a precious metal, is just so special and unique to the brand. And like you said, it's a brand. They're not making it for a boardroom. They're not making it for an Instagram feed. This was obviously before Instagram that one came out.
Yeah, speaking of which, this was right around the turn of the century, or the millennium. So this was circa year 2000, 2001. We are putting in for an extract from the archive, so we'll know for sure exactly when it was made, but this is one of the earlier versions of this specific reference, which ran for I want to say a decade or so, or decade and a half of production. So it had a pretty long production run, but this is an early one, which is
absolutely
cool.
Beautiful, and a solid case back, which is really quite interesting for Patek.
So today's perpetual calendars and beyond, but perpetual calendars or perpetual calendar chronographs with Patek, generally speaking, will always come with, if the watch today comes with a see-through sapphire crystal case back, it will also come with a solid case back that the owner could have installed, or you could engrave it and put it on. I believe, unless we have our year wrong on this, we're going to find out when we get the extract. This one would have come with this solid case back, and then later versions of this watch came with the optional the see-through case back with the optional solid case back. So, so pretty cool to see that it, has that solid engravable case back.
I was going to say, it's perfect for engraving if you're doing something.
That's one of the values of a watch like this is, generally speaking, granted there might be people out there just buying them for the sake of buying them, but generally speaking, this is a marker of a moment in one's life, a retirement, a doctorate, something like that. So you do come across many that are engraved, as you do with other watch brands that have solid case backs, but Patek just has that special special value, I think, for life's moments.
They do. Yeah, and 35 millimeters, like we said up top, does not wear like 35 millimeters in this case. I think because you have so much phenomenal symmetry on the dial, but then complications that really fill that dial. It makes it feel a bit larger on the wrist. And then with that hobnail bezel as well, that's also continuing to kind of expand visually how it looks. And I would say it wears closer to like a 36, maybe even a 37 on a good day.
Yeah, the straight lugs kind of give it more length than it would normally have, I think.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting. So this watch shares the same base movement, the 240Q, with the very famous 3940 Perpetual calendar, which is that just quintessential collectible Patek that's been that was in production for so long in different iterations. This watch was not in production for as long, shares that same base movement, but wears so differently. And I would say it wears a hair bigger than the 3940 because of the way the case is built.
Absolutely.
And for those that love that classic Calatrava, it does pick up that beautiful hobnail bezel as well, which no one does quite like Patek Philippe.
No. And
folding
a
to
small
clasp.
thing, the clasp is just, I mean, that's just so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to turn your wrist and just see it there, even,
sure.
I don't know, I just love it. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful. One thing I love about this watch specifically, or this dial, I should say, and you would see this on 3940s as well, the largest hands within the 3 o'clock subdial and the 9 o'clock subdial have this almost, it's not blackened gold, but this almost blued gold finish to them. And there's something about that tiny detail versus a lot of the current pieces in production that have all hands and subdials matching in color. There's something about having the discrepancy between that and the lighter classic gold of the smaller subdial hands that I just think gives these things so much character. It really sets them apart, especially in those older first generation 3940s. You really see that. And that watch, strangely enough, the 3940 used to have, it almost had like some of them had an interesting patina where the 24-hour zone of the 9 o'clock subdial would patina differently on the south side, if you will.
Yep.
I don't know if I want to say this watch would have done that too, probably in later versions, because I think they changed the dial slightly. This one does not have that. It's just nice and clean throughout, kind of the silver opaline. But I just love those little hands. I think they're just a characteristic of the time with Patek that you may, even though so many watches have so much character today, you may not get it as much right now.
Yeah. Yeah, just the element of simplicity that's been maintained in such a complicated watch is what makes Patek Patek.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you have so much going on, but it's not overbearing. It's not, you're not getting lost. Everything is right there in perfect balance. And I think it's an incredible piece from the brand.
Yeah. Another little detail I can see just while you're holding it, if you tilt it, well, it won't be on camera, but
we'll get a close-up shot.
So on the edge, on the 9 o'clock side, you can actually see the gold hallmarks and other, probably, I don't know if it's Geneva fineness mark or...
Yep.
But you can see the hallmarks on the edge of the case, which is kind of a throwback to the way cases were made, et cetera, et cetera. And you might have that on one or two modern watches, but you just don't see that as much anymore. So you got those hallmarks on the sides of the case. I saw that with, I think it was 3970 and quite a few other watches as well. This is kind of an interesting little detail.
Absolutely.
Could also be wrong, but I think in this case the lugs were welded on individually, and you can kind of, I don't know, you just got this interesting bit of character.
It is.
Around those that you wouldn't see with, I don't know, a more modern piece. And it's hard to feel that like a piece from 2000 is not modern per se, but it's already kind of neo-vintage, which is terrifying in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, a beautiful little watch.
There you go. Absolutely. Another incredible Patek. Hopefully at the time this video goes up, it will still be available, so definitely reach out. What's the best way on this? Shoot an email.
Oh man, just email us directly.
Email, DM,
sales
whatever.
At Windsor Time.
Yeah, but a really incredible piece. And if you're in the Charlotte area, come by the showroom and check it out, because I think it's just cool to see.
Absolutely.
And the metal as an enthusiast. But anyway, as always, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.
So another interesting little tidbit about this 5039J, legend has it, and I'm sure we'll put some imagery up on the feed here, But legend has it that prior President George H.W. Bush wore this watch and was one of his favorite watches. And I think he had it in this exact variation in yellow gold. I believe he had it on a black strap, of course. He had quite a few Pateks. I believe he had a 3940, which, as we mentioned earlier, shares this same movement. But apparently this one with the hobnail bezel was one of his favorites and what he wore the most. So we'll have to do some more research there, but fun historical fact.